Okay, so I wanted to talk about the Wifies new video, destroying a world that doesn't exist. I feel like a lot of people have been watching it, and so far, every single one of them has said things like, oh, this is, such a cool video, or even going as far as to say this is the best video of this year, or whatever, right? And while I will say there are some good things about it, I personally mostly just did not like it that much. And I haven't seen that opinion that that much expressed that much, and maybe it's because people are afraid to criticize or something, or maybe they just genuinely enjoyed it. I don't know. Either way, I'm gonna talk about what I didn't like about it. I'm gonna say in advance, I have nothing personal against Wifies. At the end of the day, he's the one who has millions of views and a million subscribers, while I'm pretty much nobody. And he's the one who has all these successful creators saying all this positive stuff about him. So at the end of the day, I have nothing against him. And clearly what he did worked. This is just my personal opinion. And also there are gonna be spoilers, so if you didn't watch it, you can watch it and then come back to this. But yeah, let's start. So the first and probably one of the most important things that I will probably keep mentioning throughout this is that there's just no character development. Avery is just the dumb guy and Darlet is just the smart guy. What changes about that? Fucking nothing. Avery is oh, I'm gonna find Darlet because, and then we're gonna talk about it a bit more as well. And does that change by the end of the story? No! He finds him, but that's it. He just does it. And Darlet as well, he's just a smart guy, and does he change by the end of the story? No, he also doesn't change. So it just feels kind of empty. And that leads me to another point, which is we don't get to know anything about them and their motivations. What do we know about them? Once again, as I've said, Avery dumb, Darlet's too smart. That's it. What else do we know about them? One example of why this is such an issue is the Chapel scene, or whatever you want to call it, the church scene, where Avery gets put into a trance or whatever. I think the scene in itself is fine, and it would have a big emotional impact on me, if not for the fact that there's just no build-up. How am I supposed to feel something for Avery when I don't even know why he's doing this in the first place? He doesn't feel human, because his motivation pretty much boils down to, I want to find Darlet because he helped me. And I understand humans can sometimes be stupid and have stupid motivations, but it's just not good storytelling in my opinion. You can disagree with that, but it could be maybe he had a bad childhood and he didn't have someone to help him in his past, and he wants to I don't know, it's maybe not the easiest to come up with an idea, but you could at least try. A solution isn't just not try altogether. And obviously it would be hard to kind of naturally gather that throughout the video. I think some option that you can introduce maybe and add another person who they could bounce off of each other, they could maybe have conflicts and real vulnerabilities and stuff. But that's just one suggestion. Once again, there should be some sort of way to have a more meaningful introduction to Avery, and we need to get to know him more, other than just, I want to help Darlet because he helped me. That just feels like nothing. And once again, we know nothing about him, so when that emotional moment hits, I feel nothing, because why am I supposed to feel anything? I don't even know who he is or what he's doing or anything. Same goes for Darlet. Okay, sure, he has curiosity, he needs to save the world, whatever, but I don't know anything about him. I don't know. And also, Avery serves no role. If you remove him, think about it, nothing changes. Cause what does Avery do in the whole series? Nothing. He does nothing. If you just had Darlet fight the spell and just fight the king, nothing would change. Cause Avery serves no role. Which again proves my point. Avery does not help Darlet. He does not. Maybe one idea would be that Avery would show Darlet oh, you could maybe defeat him, this king, with not just being smart, but with something else. I don't know, doing something human. Again, it's just vague ideas. But Avery would help Darlet in some sort of way, in which Darlet would maybe complete some sort of character arc. I don't know, maybe he all this time has been thinking like, oh, only by smart you can defeat people, but like maybe he realizes that, oh, there's something to being emotional and human too that matters, like stuff like that, and then everyone could learn something too, etc., etc., right? There's so much potential, and there's just none of it realized. And yeah, Dolat also defeating the king doesn't feel deserved, right? Because he just happened to stumble upon this spell instead of, once again, using something he actually learned from his journey, or even losing altogether. So, for example, I watched Frostbite Freeman's video. He had a video recently where it's like Wifies doesn't understand the king in yellow, the main inspiration for this video, obviously. Now, you can watch it yourself. Honestly, I don't really care that he didn't draw much. He doesn't properly understand it. I think that video brought up some valid points. One of them being that King Yell is this mythical entity that pretty much, as far as we know, imposed infinite knowledge on Derlot. And you just tell me that he just wins like that? It just makes no sense. Once again, I think one better scenario would be if, for example, they somehow trap the king but don't actually defeat him and he still has the chance to get out. Or they just change the villain altogether, because it just doesn't make sense for the king to be defeated so easily by just a random human who sure has infinite knowledge, but the king seems to be much more powerful and this scary all-knowing entity. And he supposedly gave Dorothy his knowledge, and he didn't even win because of the knowledge. The knowledge never got used. They just kind of made an excuse for it. It's like, oh, I'm fine in this world or whatever, and just kind of never mentioned it again. Except in the final thing, where it's he used kind of the knowledge, but not even the knowledge itself, just the fact that he has this knowledge or whatever. It just feels so stupid. But yeah, also another thing, this is more so of a side thing rather than a main issue, but I think it also has to be mentioned. If the story was good, this would not matter, but a lot of builds feel hollow. No disrespect to horrors, I don't even think it's the fault of the builds themselves. They just serve no purpose other than just, oh, that's cool. A lot of the places are like, oh, there's a monster, let's run away now, and you just never return to that again, and it was like, oh, that's cool build, I guess. Though some places do feel better, for example the Chappelle scene, I think that one is good because it serves an actual purpose, reminding Avery why he's on his journey and showing him how dangerous this can truly be, or something along those lines, right? I think the scene itself is fine, as I've said already, the issue isn't the scene itself, it's just that it has no build-up. Or some other scenes where Avery is reminded oh, this is why I'm doing this is why it's important, right? I think those scenes work well. But yeah, I think a good example of what a good Minecraft series could be is White Pine. And I might be biased because I like these lengthy, more dialogue-based stories. It's closer to traditional media, but the thing is, it's closer to traditional media because what people usually do just usually works. I'm not saying what Wifies is doing can't work, but I would prefer to have at least some elements the character arcs or whatever to his future videos. What White Pine does well is all the characters feel alive and real. For example, I'm gonna try not to spoil too much, but whenever it goes through a crisis or has an issue, people generally try to be helpful, and there's a lot of awkwardness and realness to it. Issues don't get resolved immediately. Sometimes stuff just doesn't get resolved and you just have to deal with it, and that's really cool, and that's feels realistic. It makes you sympathize with the characters more, and characters also have their own crash outs, and I don't know, it just feels there's much more of a focus on the story and it feels more thought through. And once again, I think what Wifies is doing has merit as well, the silences and the tension building or whatever. I just think that if he added some more stuff White Pine did, again, more character motivations and stuff, that it would benefit him a lot. But yeah, once again, I wanna reiterate, I have no hate towards Wifies. Maybe I've sounded a bit hateful, but I'm just passionate about cool stories. I wanna see more cool stories being made, and I can be a bit picky at times because I read a lot of good stories, and when a story is slightly subpar, I maybe tend to get a bit passionate about it. But you know, the only crime that Wifies did is just make, at least in my opinion, a bad story. But that's it. Once again, shout out to Wifies, he's an amazing guy. And yeah, watch the video if you haven't watched it yet. That's about it. See ya.